Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. Today we have another 2028 presidential prediction, this time the Democratic nominee being Georgia Senator Jon Ossoff, and his running mate for the vice presidency, former Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear. He is currently the governor of Kentucky, but by 2028 he will be term limited and will not be governor. So, the Republicans, they will likely nominate Vice President J.D. Vance. He's definitely the successor to Donald Trump, what we're kind of seeing now. He has over 50% chance of winning the Republican nomination according to Kalshi. That's a betting market. And his running mate will be Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I feel like the two Republican nominees, vice presidential nominees that I feel like are the most likely so far are Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State under the Trump administration and former Senator of the state of Florida, and also Glenn Youngkin, the Governor of Virginia, and also he is term limited, so he won't be governor by then. So, yeah, let's get into it, starting off with the safe Democratic states. Now, I do want to talk about Ossoff and Beshear. They are definitely the um, um, declining population of those of Southern Democrats, because Democrats are starting to build up in this area, there. So Democrats in places like Kentucky really get no representation. But Andy Beshear, he's not exactly a moderate or a blue dog. He holds a bunch of progressive policies, but yet he's able to keep winning in the state of Kentucky. He won 2 terms as governor there. So, it is interesting to see. So, yeah, Beshear, pretty good candidate. Jon Ossoff. Also, in the state of Georgia, he was able to beat an incumbent Republican in 2020, I think. Yeah, 2020. And so, Ossoff, Beshear, they're definitely overperforming fellow Democrats in their 2 southern states. Georgia is a swing state. Kentucky is a very safe Republican state. And I think that is going to be it for the safe Democratic seats. Now let's move on to the safe Republican seats. So, J.D. Vance, once again, if we look at Kalshi, the betting market, Vance, he is definitely the most favored. He kind of, no one else really comes close. So he's at over 15%. The Democrats, they don't have anybody above 50% on Kalshi, so that is interesting. South Carolina is going to go likely Republican. Also, remember, guys, safe Republican are for races that are over 15% of a margin. And, I feel like that should be good. Okay, for the likely Democratic seats, these are margins between 5 and 15%. Oregon, Delaware, and I forgot to put Maryland in the safe Democratic column. We're going to put the state of Illinois into the likely Democratic column. Illinois, along with New York, we're also going to slide into the likely Democratic column. These are 2 states that are shifting to the right, mainly because of their big metropolitan areas, New York City and Chicago. So, there's those suburban areas of these states, and they are trending to the left. But obviously, those metropolitan areas kind of overshadow that. It's going to get close in the future, just not very competitive in 2028. Now, we're also going to put the state of New Mexico and Colorado in here. Colorado, actually, Colorado goes in likely. Colorado trending left pretty fast. A lot of Californians we're moving, at least, to Colorado. We'll see if that trend continues. I think it will. It was almost safe in 2024. I feel like it's just shy in 2028 from being over 15 percentage points. So Colorado goes to Ossoff by round 14. New Mexico, this one's interesting. I think it is slowly shifting to the right, but a candidate like Ossoff with a running mate like Beshear would also able to keep it where it kind of is now. I'd say around D+8. Now for the state of not New Jersey. I feel like that would go lane. Maine at large, and the state of New Hampshire. These 2 states, they're New England. These 2 states, they're also kind of competitive in 2024. New Hampshire was lean. I'm not sure if Maine was, but in a red wave, these are possible to flip. I just feel like Ossoff would do good in rural New Hampshire and Maine. We'll be able to keep it in likely blue. All right, now J.D. Vance's home state of Ohio, and this will go into likely Republican. Sorry, guys, I also forgot to put Missouri into safe Republican. Utah, this state is interesting. I think it is shifting to the left. Definitely not going to get competitive. It was kind of close to being likely in 2024, along with Montana, but these two still likely Republicans should do it. Along with Kansas, Nebraska's first. These two. Kansas also very, very slowly shifting to the left. Iowa, yeah, okay. These likely Republican seats are good. And South Carolina. So South Carolina, I feel like it's trending to the left. It's usually likely Republican. It was safe Republican in the red wave of 2024, but I'd say it's going to go R plus 13 in 2028. So, we're going to put Virginia into likely Democrat, and that wraps off the, sorry, I just forgot to put Florida in likely Republican. So that wraps up the likely states between 5 and 15% of a margin. Now, let's move on to the lean states. These are margins between 1 and 5%. So, let's get started with the state of New Jersey. New Jersey, kind of like New York, just redder, shifting to the right. In the 2025 governor's race we have here, Jack Ciattarelli, Republican nominee. He was also the nominee in 2021. He kind of came close to beating incumbent Democrat Phil Murphy. We'll see how he does in November of 2025. I will be streaming that. We'll see how he does. And New Jersey, I feel like it's not going to go red, but it is getting there. We'll see how it goes. Lean Democrat, D plus 4. We're also going to put Minnesota and we're going to put Nebraska second and likely, actually. But Minnesota, this one, Republicans, they've kind of been eyeing for a while. The Minnesota GOP is really just horrible at doing stuff. But Democrats, they should be easily be able to keep it here, unlike a state like New Jersey, which is pretty clearly shifting to the right. Minnesota, kind of being stable for the last couple of years. Let's go D plus 4 also. Now, Alaska and Texas. So why are these two states not in likely Republican? I usually put these in likely Republican. Texas, this is a state where John Ossoff and the Beshear duo will do good in, okay? In rural Texas, central Texas, hill country, I feel like candidates like Ossoff and Beshear would be able to connect better than J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio, he comes from a big city in, in Florida. J.D. Vance, he comes from up north in Ohio. And Ossoff and Beshear, their states do usually connect more to issues in the state of Texas, which will do better. Obviously, it will not come even close to flipping it. Texas also, it's shifting to the left slowly. It was very, very red in 2024 because of Trump. Vance also wouldn't have that same grasp on Texas as Trump. So yeah, Texas is still going to go R plus 3.5. Sorry, R plus 4.5. Alaska, this state's also shifting to the left. Alaska, this state should still remain pretty Republican for at least a couple more years. R plus 4. Now, before we move into the swing states, Maine second, this is also going to go into the lean Republican category. Also shifting to the left here, J.D. Vance wouldn't be able to do as good as Ossoff, and Andy Beshear, as a vice presidential nominee, would be able to be good in Maine. So still R plus 4. I feel like Democrats and Republicans would both still mainly focus on these 7 central swing states: Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. Okay, let's move on here. Before we get into these, Ossoff has 226 electoral votes, Vance has 219. Okay, starting off with the state of Georgia, we're going to put in the lean Democratic category. This is Ossoff's home state. He's semi-popular here. It's also shifting to the left with the Atlanta suburbs. It's more favored to go to the Democrats for now. I know it's a couple years in the future, but yeah, it is. Democrats should have an upper hand in the state of Georgia. Now let's move on to the state of Pennsylvania. I'm going to be putting this in the lean Republican category. So, Vance, I think he has a better approval rating in Pennsylvania than any other swing state, which makes sense. Ohio and Pennsylvania share a lot of common values. Obviously, Pennsylvania is more swingier than Ohio, but I feel like Republicans with Vance would have an upper hand against most Democratic candidates in the state of Pennsylvania. Okay, let's move on to the state of North Carolina now. This one, very interesting. You have a very competitive 2026 Senate race going on here between former Democratic Governor Roy Cooper, very popular, and the former was it former? No, I think he's still RNC chair, Michael Whatley, as a Republican. So we'll see how that goes. I also think, Democrats, they're gaining ground in the state of North Carolina. It might be shifting left. I'm not sure, but it's kind of shifting left, just not as fast as Georgia. All right, now let's go to the state of Arizona. This state, we're going to put in lean Republican. This state was likely a Republican in 2024, over 5 points of a margin for Donald Trump. So, very good performance by Trump here. But Vance, not nearly as popular in the Sun Belt in Nevada and Arizona than Trump, but he still wins it by a lean Republican margin. He wins it by 2.5 percentage points here. So that leaves us with 3 swing states. Ossoff sits at 258, and Rubio sits at 249. All right, but Ossoff, he is going to win the state of Wisconsin. This was the closest state in 2024. Donald Trump won it by less than a percentage point. Usually Wisconsin is redder than the state of Michigan. That was not the case. Michigan was won by, I think, 2 or 3 points by Donald Trump. So Michigan, it's going to be redder once again. It's going to go tilt Republican. Now it all comes down to the state of Nevada. 6 electoral votes. Ossoff currently sits at 268. Vance sits at 264, 270 to win, and J.D. Vance is going to lose the state of Nevada. Nevada is really toss-up to me at this moment, because Donald Trump, he really, really struck gold in the Sun Belt in 2024. He does pretty good, but Nevada, it's not as red as Arizona, and this year, it's really a toss-up for 2028 between such good candidates like Ossoff and also kind of MAGA era J.D. Vance. So I would not be surprised if J.D. Vance won Nevada in this scenario. But once again, this is just a slight lean. But yeah, Jon Ossoff wins the presidency with 274 electoral votes and in an extremely close race between him and Vance. J.D. Vance wins 264. So once again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. Also, I think I'm going to do Ruben Gallego or Roy Cooper next, for anyone wondering.